All right, joining me now here on the Matthew Filipowicz Show is Mac McClelland. Mac is a journalist and human rights reporter for Mother Jones magazine, which you can find at motherjones.com. Mac, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so Mac, your latest piece in Mother Jones magazine is entitled "To Catch a Warlord." It's about a man named Bosco Ntaganda, and so for people who are not aware, who exactly is Bosco?
Well, you're right. He's a person that most people have never heard of outside of the sort of rights and justice community, and outside of Congo. But in Congo, everybody knows who he is because he was a leader of a rebel group that was integrated into the Congolese National Army as part of a peace deal. So the peace deal, is theoretically good news, but he was also a person who was alleged to have committed many war crimes as a leader of this militia. And as Human Rights Watch and other people who've been documenting this have been saying, he continues to perpetrate war crimes in the country. So basically, he's a bad guy, an alleged bad guy who's massacred people, is involved in conflict mining, mineral smuggling, all sorts of things like that. But then at the same time, is now a member of the National Army, so he's legit, he's official, and is kind of untouchable.
And so again, he was the whole thing that happened there in Congo. If I'm correct, there was a lot of conflict going on, and they ended up putting some of these people who were against it. They brought them into the government essentially, even though they were clearly war criminals.
Correct.
Right? Mm-hmm. So Bosco has actually been indicted by the ICC, the International Criminal Court. Let's talk a little bit about that and what type of jurisdiction that they have in a case like this.
Sure. Well, the International Criminal Court is sort of an interesting institution. It's totally independent, basically, of everyone and everything. It's like a totally
right.
standalone institution. It has members. It has over 100 member states. And so you can sign up, you can ratify the treaty that created it, and you can become a member state. So, like I said, more than 100 countries have done that. The United States is not one of them. And the United States actually was not really that excited about the formation of the International Criminal Court because one of the main objections that they were raising was that we don't want any of our soldiers to be tried for what could be construed as war crimes in other countries when we're at war.
Right.
So the Congo, on the other hand, is a member of the International Criminal Court. So that means that the court has jurisdiction. And even if you are not a member of the International Criminal Court, the court can still get jurisdiction over you. For example, you might remember a couple months ago, they issued arrest warrants for Gaddafi. And, a couple of one of his sons and one of his intelligence officials. And Libya, unsurprisingly, is not a member of the International Criminal Court, but the Security Council referred the case to the ICC, and if the Security Council refers a case to the ICC, that gives the ICC jurisdiction over a country that is not a state. So there's a couple different ways that the ICC can gain jurisdiction, but with Congo, it's as straightforward as, Congo joined, Congo is a member, Congo has been participating, and has been actually very cooperative with the ICC. There are a couple of Congolese war criminals on trial in The Hague right now, partly because Congo has been very helpful and very cooperative in working with the ICC.
And so again, so they're a part of it. They supposedly have cooperation with it, but still to this day, Bosco is walking around the Congo, going to clubs. He is not hard to find, essentially.
No, oh no. If you, went to Congo for a couple weeks, certainly if you lived there, you would run into him if you ever went to a fancy restaurant or, a fancy club. He owns a bar / restaurant. You could go there. You could go to his favorite restaurant, which is called Le Chalet, which is fabulous. They have really great food there. So, he's everywhere. His entourage is everywhere. His house is there, right there, and that's where he lives. So he's not difficult to find.
Yeah. So in your piece, you give several instances about the difficulty of getting people to even talk about him because, well, they could be killed, because still to this day, his squads are anyone who talks about him have the danger of being killed. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this actually ended up being an exorbitantly expensive story. Not just because Africa, is really far away, but because we had to have layers of security, not for me, but for the people who I was talking to, because it's extremely dangerous. It's dangerous for them just to live there, and it's dangerous for them to talk to anybody, much less reporters. So some of the people who we talked to were living in hiding, way far away from where they were from. And some of the people who we talked to, one of them was, travels around Congo in disguise because these guys have come after him before and will continue to come after him until he flees the country permanently or until he's been killed. So, yes, it's really hard for these people to talk to people about their stories because, they're in danger all the time. There's just a blanket of permanent fear of this guy and his colonels in pretty much over the whole city where he lives, and it reaches way across the country into cities that are many, many hours away, and his influence is wide ranging, and so people who are there feel like they just can't get away from him.